Hello, welcome to the Leadership Challenge. If you're watching this video, you'll probably just receive your Leadership Practices Inventory, also known as your LPI. You might be wondering how to break it down. We're going to help you do that briefly, but please know when you're back in the Leadership Challenge workshop, we'll invest a little more time to discuss and to share other aspects related to the LPI. So what are your immediate goals with the LPI? It might be to explore it, to become awakened and affirmed, and ultimately share it with others. Before you do, you might consider creating a leadership development action plan. In time, you might want to schedule some time to share with others and develop a continual feedback loop. Speaking of others, actually, if you have 10 to 20 respondents, you're doing really, really wonderful. If, however, you don't have 10 to 20 respondents, you still have time to call on others and to ask them to provide some feedback. Also, if you haven't already, consider printing out your LPI. Write on it, highlight things that you want to come back to. Take a moment, grab a pen, and I'm going to really want you to take note of something that's important in just a second. Before we dive into the full LPI, I want you to notice two things to the response scale. First, the rating scale measures how frequently someone is seeing behaviors based on a 1 to 10 point scale. Next, notice if a behavior was not visible to a respondent, they were instructed to give it a 1 to 3. Down below, if a behavior is not visible to you, give it a 1, 2, or 3. It doesn't mean that you weren't doing these behaviors. It only means it wasn't visible to the observer. Take note of this. Your 5 practices data inventory. This is completely and totally customized to you. It's also on page 2 of your LPI. These are your results at this very moment in time. Consider it like a snapshot or your baseline, kind of the beginning or the foundation to really striving hard on intentionally incorporating the leadership practices into your everyday life. So let's take a moment to break it. Notice at the top, M is for manager, D is direct report, C is coworker, O is other, and AVG is for average of all observer respondents. So just take note of this. Is there anything that stands out to you here when you look at the average of all observer respondents and yourself? Are there any blind spots or challenges? Where is their alignment? Again, take notes on your thoughts here. Let's move on to your relationship with your manager. How are you rating yourself compared to how your manager rated you? What is your manager seeing? What is your relationship with your manager? Is your manager new or are you new to your manager? Are the two of you seeing eye to eye? Are there areas for improvement and where can you celebrate? Moving on to your direct reports. Are there any discrepancies between direct reports? Are there any new or challenging relationships? Where would you like to make improvements over the next 30 days and over the long term? What is the data telling you? Again, take some notes on your preliminary thoughts so you can ultimately share them with your Leadership Challenge LPI coach in order to further develop your leadership development action plan. Moving on to colleagues and observers. What are they seeing? Are their ratings consistent with yours or do they differ? If they differ, how much do they differ? Why do you think this might be the case? What intentional actions can you take in the short and the long term to make things different? Take a moment to write this down. You might, in fact, pause the video so that you can reflect on what we've just talked about and the questions that I've just asked. Oh, goodness. Welcome back. On page 3 of the LPI, you'll find the 5 practices bar graphs. This is a representation of data recorded on the 5 practices summary page that shows the total responses of self and the average total for each different category of observer. This average includes your manager. The totals can range from 6 to 60, which again is based on the 1 to 10 response score. Don't forget, observers were instructed to rate you a 1, 2, or 3 if they just didn't see this behavior. We'd like to encourage you by letting you know we're here to help you. You're not alone in this journey. The bar graphs provide a great visual to easily see where things can potentially improve with deliberate action and also to see clear consistencies and alignment. Let's celebrate that and break it down a little bit. If you like, you can stop this video and you can look at each one by one. If it's easier just to kind of focus on the one by putting a piece of paper over the others, you're welcome to do that. So specifically for model the way, look up at the top and you will notice that I put an arrow with two bars there. That is the difference between what I've rated myself and where others have rated me. Notice the gap on how I view myself and how others view me. Perhaps my manager is seeing, a little bit more aligned with where I'm at, but then there are others. What can I do differently or better to make some improvements so that I'm taking deliberate action? Moving on to inspired shared vision, same thing. Others may see more in me than I see in myself. And how is that possible? What's going on there? Anything with a 1.5 a plus or minus gap, because we're looking at the gaps, might merit further attention. Moving on to challenge the process. Consider asking yourself why there are differing opinions and where you feel you are and where others may be seeing specific behaviors. The same is true with enable others to act. There's a gap there also with encourage the heart. What can be done and how can we be more intentional with these behaviors overall? Take a moment to write things down again on your thoughts related to your LPI. To page 5, your leadership behavior ranking page. This page includes all 30 behaviors. So we're going to start at the top. Congratulations. These are the behaviors your observers are seeing most frequently. Again, take a look at the behavior, scan over to the right, and take a look at what practice that behavior falls under. Look a little further right to view your ratings and compare it to your average observers. Don't forget to look at where there might be gaps, inconsistencies, discrepancies, or potential opportunities for feedback, conversation, intentional action, and engagement. Oh my goodness, we're moving on to the middle section of things that people aren't seeing much frequently, but it's not like they're never seeing them. They're not the least frequent. Are there any surprises here? Any awakenings? How are you feeling about what you are seeing? Jot down some actions for further considerations. Okay, now we're on to the bottom half, which is your least frequent behaviors that people are seeing. If you like, you can pause this recording and really look at what's being presented here. Are there any surprises? How are you feeling about what you're seeing? If you were to take the LPI 6 months from now, are there changes that you would like to see? And if so, how can you make those changes happen? Intentionally. Jot down some actions for further consideration. Towards the end of your report, you have open-ended questions. This is your qualitative data. You can circle or highlight key phrases or words that resonate with you. You might consider underlining areas where you might want to take some positive action. Remember, feedback is a gift, and the gift is typically either awakening or affirming. The question is, what would you like to do with this feedback? It's 100%. With regards to feedback, I've spoken to some of the masters who would like to share some information with you. Consider engaging in conversation with others related to the leadership challenge and the leadership practices inventory. Also consider looking at your calendar and investing 15 minutes per quarter with various observers to discuss 3 things. Ask for honest feedback regarding, number 1, positive things that you're doing that absolutely help others succeed, or behaviors that are positively impacting their performance. Number 2, negative things that could really drag a person or a team down, things that should be changed. And number 3, what recognizable changes have you seen in the past quarter related to these behaviors? This question may help you and others to see more clearly so that the next time you take the LPI, the ratings will be what you expect. Remember, we're all human beings. None of us are perfect. Our goal is to be exemplary and to provide exemplary leadership the majority of the time. Finally, I'll end by reminding you, if you didn't have many respondents, reach out to them. It's not too late. Feedback is a gift. We're here for you, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon at the Leadership Challenge.